a playlist original.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster with your hosts, Gaius and Jacckson, episode 97.
97. Oh my God, man. We're right around the corner. It's, I don't know where the time has gone, but this is awesome.
I know it's getting kind of like not scary, but like it was like, oh, it's almost
Milestones
like
on the horizon, certainly.
I know. I think we're like so excited to do the episode that we have all these like little random ideas to throw into it, which would be really fun.
A lot of the conversation has been lately is how we're going to do this and like just being excited to do it. And like, it's real. Like, and now it feels like it's like within our grasp. So,
and then having three very chatty, excited dudes trying to cover this milestone.
Yes.
I think you kind of, if you listen to the deep dive from last week, Killer Joe one, you can already tell. So of course, like Owen and I've known each other for a long time now, and we've been doing this together for a very long time. Jackson and Owen have only recorded, as of that one, 2 episodes together.
That's right.
But the vibe I got from people that listened to it was like, couldn't really tell that. So I think that's I think it's a good sign of things
definitely.
to come. And he actually talked about wanting to be on this one, but I was like, well, he's doing it at like 11 our time today.
Okay.
And then he was like, oh, okay, that's a little early. He was like, well, we'll figure it out. He's like, anyway, we're close to episode 100 anyway. So he's like, I'll be on another one soon.
Definitely.
With you guys. But yeah, we already announced one giveaway on the Fast episode, and we put it on socials. It, being shared across the Back to the Blockbuster Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's also on my G-Reels, Instagram, and Twitter. So there's a lot of people tagged, a lot of people retweeted it, a lot of people liked it.
That's awesome.
I jot down all of your usernames so I can keep track of them. So it's going to be fair. Everyone's going to have a chance to win it. And this giveaway will still be active. We are going to announce another one on our next episode once we finalize what it is completely. But up until episode 100, like once they go live, you can still continue to retweet, add it to your stories, tag your friends.
Yes, get your entries in there to win that 9-movie pack.
Yeah, just because the new giveaway is up doesn't mean that the old giveaway is done. It will still be, both will be active until episode 100, and we will announce both winners during episode 100 and then shortly thereafter on all the socials so we can get all your information to mail all that stuff out to you and give you a proper thank you for listening to us and getting us to 100 episodes.
And thank you everyone who has been participating in that giveaway too, because that's great for us, obviously. I mean, we appreciate not only your viewership, but you guys spreading the word about our podcast. So thanks again to everybody. Even if you don't win, it means a lot to us who are recording. So thank you again.
Definitely. And you know what? I had no idea that Fast Collection was going to be, you know what? Some of those, I enter giveaways too, even if I don't necessarily want the thing. It's just like, all right. I mean, I don't want to buy it, but like, it'd be cool if I
to win it,
want it for free. So like, I wonder if it's the case sometimes with this stuff, because like a lot of people were like entering it, and I was like, well, are they like huge Fast and Furious fans, or do they just really just want?
They will be if they win, won't they?
A free box set, right? But either way, I'm glad you guys all entered. It was a good weekend to do it because it was Fast 10's opening weekend. So everything we do here on Back to the Blockbuster has a purpose. The timing was no coincidence, but it was a good tie-in with that movie having a huge global box office opening. There's a question about the domestic opening. At the end of the day, I think this franchise it's all about the international global numbers at this point. So it was a good weekend to do it. It was the most talked about movie of the weekend, good or bad, depending on how you felt.
Feels like it's fallen all over the map. People are
it's everywhere.
Some people are super anti, and a lot of people that I've seen right in the middle, like, they kind of knew what they were going to get out of this one, and it feels like it landed right in that middle mark.
And that's
you got a chance to see it.
Yeah, that's
this. We haven't chatted this yet, so I want to hear your thoughts.
So here's the deal. Remember, like when you, me, and Ty on the Fast episode, we were like, okay, we hope that they try to go back to their roots a little bit.
Yes.
Yada, 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 right? So there is a street racing scene, and it's fun. It's Vin Diesel and Jason Momoa, and I'm blanking on the girl's name, but you can tell that her character is probably going to be more important in like the next one. Like she's in the few scenes. She's a new character. It's like she is the sister of. I'm going to look this up, and I should remember this by heart because this franchise is like embedded in my memory. But I'm going to pull this up real quick just so we have it.
Yeah.
Elsa Pataki played the character in Fast 5 and a few other movies. She gets killed by Elena. She gets killed by Cypher in the Fate of the Furious.
Oh,
So she is Elena's younger sister, and I'm gonna pull up her name too because I don't want to just
been up
leave
with
it
that
out.
family motif.
Family motif, because you could tell when they like her and Dom like encounter each other before the race. It's like, oh, they know each other like somehow. Her name
Mm,
is Daniela. I don't want to mess with her last name. It's Melchior. She plays Isabel.
okay.
She a new character, and she has a really fun street racing with Vin Diesel, Jason Momoa, and then another kind of day player. He didn't really have like a. I can't remember if they gave him her name or not in the
Oh,
scene.
okay.
It's a fun scene. It's a one of many great examples of how fantastic Jason Momoa is in this movie.
Right, this is what I
I
hear.
I can't say it enough, and I thought
Everyone
that people
seems to
were.
agree.
It's a perfect balance of being like right there over the top, but not to the point where it's like, oh, I can't take this seriously because
Okay.
he's equal parts like chilling and unhinged, and then completely hilarious. Like he can kind of walk the line of doing both,
Okay.
and
I'm
like
sure he had
so
a lot of fun.
I'm sure he had a lot of fun. And dude, I wish I look if I could find out like if this was mostly on the page or if he kind of came up with a lot of this stuff himself, because it feels like something that he crafted on its own.
Okay.
Like now, it seems very inspired. Like I think you may have heard this. Like a lot of people were saying, like it's almost like having like the Joker and like the Fast and Furious franchise.
I have seen
Um,
that comparison, which is interesting to me. So we're talking in terms of like just like the
the
behavior of the character.
behavior, flamboyant, very like
Right.
like probably making unnecessary jokes when you probably shouldn't, but it's like it works so well. Like he
Okay.
is. But then there's this whole like he feels like as far as villains of this franchise, their most legit threat in a very very long time.
Okay.
And like a lot of people have compared this to like they're like this is the Infinity War of the Fast Saga. Our heroes, our Avengers, are separated in different places for a lot of the movie,
Okay.
much like Infinity
Neat.
War, where like most of the heroes were in different
Yep.
locations before everything went to shit. You know, you could tell it's a build-up movie. Like it's building up to something more. The action scenes are great. They are over the top, though. They are incredibly
It's
ridiculously
anything
over the
like
top.
what I've seen. I saw a
Yeah,
little glimpse of the Hoover Dam explode. I'm assuming that's where it is, but the dam explosion.
it's crazy, man. It's ridiculous. But they are very. I mean, keep in mind, guys, this movie costs a reported before marketing spend $340 million to make, and that
What?
has a lot to do with like COVID delays, director delays because Justin Lin left like a few days into the project. They had to get another director. We also have a pretty stacked ensemble. I don't know if any of these people take pay cuts or if they get a piece of the box office, like what the deal is. I can't imagine you having this many names. I mean, I guess Marvel does have so many names in the project. I wonder how much they get paid. I
Right.
don't know anyone's payday for this movie at all. I'm sure something really good's worked out with like maybe they get like a cut of the money, but
Mm.
it's just an expensive movie to make, right? It's like this is insane.
No kidding. That's got to be some sort of like that's got to be
It,
up in there in that
some
top
kind of
10 or
record,
something. Like
it has
that's
to
the
be.
highest that I've heard of
Yeah, so
personally. That's
it's
insane.
yeah, it's insane. It's ridiculous. I mean, you get to, but all the money's on screen. So I mean, so at least it's not like it's wasted. Here's what I'll tell you that I liked. Mm, Charlize Theron finally utilizes her in a really good way. Like Charlize Theron is like a legit action star. Like you've seen her in like Atomic Blonde, Mad
Yep.
Max Fury Road. Like she is. She
Watched it
does
today
action.
actually this morning.
She yeah. There's one action movie that we're going to be covering soon that
Yeah.
she's in, also involving cars in some capacity.
That's right. Mini
Uh,
Coopers in particular.
and she has like a legit one kind of big fight scene, not necessarily with Jason Momoa, but like he kind of like infiltrates her little like hacking lair or whatever wherever she does her stuff,
Yes.
and then like basically turns all her people against her because he has
Neat.
figured out a way to like basically like, oh, I have all your families, like if you don't do what I do, tell what I tell you to do, like they're all gonna die, this kind of situation thing, right? And they all like instantly turn on her, so she has like a really good fight scene with like all of them. And like we talked about like quick cuts and all that with like the John and like different movies and all. It seems like she's
Yes.
doing a lot of the stuff herself, which I thought was really cool to see. Like
She's pretty capable. I wouldn't be surprised to see her doing a lot
yeah,
of her own stunts.
yeah. And then if you've seen the trailer, there's been snippets of a fight scene with her and Michelle Rodriguez. I
Yes.
will tell you that it's not necessary that it like.
Mhm.
I mean, you could the way it's written, you could tell because they're trying to help each other get out of this place, and you could tell the way the fight is scripted that Letty was just like, dude, I can't just like let this girl help me. Like she's put our family and stuff through shit for like,
Right.
since they introduced her in the Fate of the Furious, and you could tell that she's just ready to just throw down. So I guess
Right.
like if you're not reading in between those lines, the fight comes out of nowhere. Like it's just like, oh, like
Okay.
why are they suddenly fighting? But
Right.
it's choreographed really well, and you could tell they both were doing most of it. Like I think that they're
Okay.
both are just down to like really get down the dirt with each other, and like that was cool to see. That was fun. Like I already said, Jason Momoa, he steals the show completely. Best person in the film by far. He understood the assignment, is what I will say, as far as like
Okay.
what he needed to do to make this character work. Again, I would love to like maybe look up and see how much that he added and how this guy was written. For Fast fans, there's a lot of tie-ins to Fast Five, so that's a lot of people's favorite one. So it was cool to kind of go back at that. We were able to see some footage of Paul Walker from that movie, and that kind of like in our theater made people like, even though it was footage you've already seen from Fast Five, like some people clapped when they saw him. So I thought that was really kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
cool to have.
No doubt, be a little bit emotional.
Ludacris and Tyrese are funny together as usual. They have like good banter with each
Yep.
other. The one really positive change, like John Cena is a better charismatic, funny, goofy kind of actor.
Yes.
So in Fast 9, when he's serious and he's the villain, I don't think it necessarily works as well as it probably could have.
Right.
Now at this point, he's part of the family. It's all turned around that he's accepted the little brother role, and
Right.
he has some great stuff. And I could have easily, you might think it's cheesy when you see it, but he has most of his stuff is with Dom's kid. He's like basically trying to protect him for most of the movie.
Right.
They
Pulling the
have
Jason
really,
Statham.
yeah, they have really funny stuff together, and like and he's really, I mean, I think that's his strength. His strength is like he's just a naturally funny guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he delivers some really funny lines. He does have one really good fight scene that involves Mia. The scene itself is good. It's
Okay.
real. It's highly entertaining.
Yes.
But I'm just gonna say this because we've mentioned this so many times when it comes to Jordana Brewster and Mia. It does feel like they shoehorned her in, like she got added at the very last minute. She's
Okay.
in, I think, 2 scenes. She's in the
Damn.
opening kind of like barbecue scene with Rita Moreno, who plays their mother and all that stuff. Like they're involved in that. So the whole gang's together at the beginning with Coronas and barbecue and blah blah blah.
Nice. Typical. Yes.
You learn Brian's not there because he's like watching the kid somewhere, even though he should probably be at that.
Okay.
Even though he should probably be maybe at the house with the rest of the family. No,
Right.
or whatever.
Oh
Right.
man.
So then when things go awry and like Jason Momoa is like, they realize he's a threat and he's going after every member of Dom's family. There's like a quick phone, like kind of reference to like, oh, like where's Mia? And Dom's like, oh, Brian and Mia and the kid, they're safe. They're somewhere safe, right? But then I don't know if they like fully read their script and then forgot that like Brian and Mia and the kid are safe, because her big action scene, I sent this to you like I think like a couple weeks ago. Her big action scene, she's babysitting Dom's kid,
Right.
but no Brian and no her kid. Don't know where they are. They don't explain where they are in that scene whatsoever.
Because
Um,
I feel like because they couldn't like this. If we ignore this, maybe they won't ask questions.
yeah, and I was like, so I actually was this guy Donnie, who's like a friend of the show. He's been on the show a few times. He was on
Yep.
the Scream 6 episode with us. I was trying to like, I was like, I had fun with it. It's a fun movie, but I was like sending all these plot holes to him, and I was like, doesn't make sense. And he was like, well, maybe Brian is somewhere safe with their kid. And I was like, fine, but like they should all be together then. Like I mean, there's no excuse to separate them really.
Or
like
if one of them's gonna come out of
like
hiding, you'd think it'd be Brian.
Yeah, or strength in numbers. Like you wouldn't necessarily leave Mia alone just with Dom's kid.
Right.
And like, yeah, Jacob comes, he saves the day, and like they both fight together, and it's her and John Cena have some funny banter with each other. But really, I think even Vin Diesel kind of mentioned this, is like he was like, there's so many people in this movie and so many people in the cast, so like we want to like have each person have like a piece of it. So like even if it doesn't totally make sense.
Yeah. Granted, they're not really known these days for making sense, so it's not like it's necessarily out of character for those movies. It's just like
True.
when you think a little bit too at all really about what's going on, you start to like kind of see things unravel, which you kind of just plays in. You just gotta kind of not turn your brain off, but ignore these sort of things if you're gonna have a good time watching them, especially like post like 6 or 7. Yeah, it's 5. Yeah, there you go. It's even better.
So there's also this mention of like, I mean, maybe they'll mention in the next movie, but I feel like it was lazy writing, because after that big fight, she's basically like, protect him with your life to Jacob or whatever. And he's like, and she's like, well, where should I go? And he's like, oh, Dom wants you and Brian and the kid to go to the rendezvous point, that one place that Dom told you to go to if anything went to shit. They've mentioned this rendezvous point like several times in this movie, but we never see it. And guessing maybe it'll be in the next one. I don't know. When they have to explain like where they were all going to go to like meet.
Far ahead. Yeah.
But like after Mia's last like big action scene, she's gone for the rest of the movie. There's like an hour and a half of movie left.
Oh my god.
So like, and it's the same thing with Jason Statham's character. Like he has a big fight scene. Him and Han at first almost duke it out, but until he's like, "Why are you here?" And like Han's basically like, "Dude, I'm not here to fight you. Like we need your help." That kind of thing. And it starts as like a funny fight, and then a bigger threat comes in, and then they have to help each other. Right. And then like there's like this whole scene where they realize that like Jason Momoa and his people are now after like Jason Statham's mom, who's played by Helen Mirren. She also has a scene in the movie. And then Jason Statham goes and said that he's going to go dig up some graves, and he's gone the rest of the movie. He doesn't come back. There's no explanation as to like...
Okay.
And granted, like I was trying to think, because this is the only thing I can compare it to. So Infinity War, I know that they didn't tie up every thread, but I feel like it made more sense when characters were getting separated, or like, it wasn't just like they left the movie and were like, oh, like, bye, we'll see you in the next one. It was...
Right.
With this, you can tell just like, I felt like there were just things that were like done last minute. And like, like, we have to get them in the movie. Like, let's like, we forgot to write them in. Let's like write them in real quick. That's what it feels like.
I feel like this is a symptom of that troubled production. You know what I mean? Like Justin Lin.
And I wanted Justin Lin, like, because like the new director said that he rewrote a lot of it. He said that Justin Lin's script was good, but I wonder if once Vin Diesel had all these things that he wants to maybe add to appease people. Like, I know that the original script, Mia wasn't in it at all. Like, Jordana Brewster wasn't coming back, and I think Vin Diesel fought for her to come back, and I think that was one of the things that they argued about. And then, like, like Justin Lin said, he left the project because he said the project wasn't worth his mental health, and I can get it. It's a huge undertaking to do a movie like this. So, I mean, if there's so many cooks in the kitchen, and the big cook being Vin Diesel because he's a producer on it, and this is his baby,
head chef. Yeah.
So like, this is his baby. So like, I get, but I think you need to listen to like maybe your creatives a bit more and be like, hey, like it's already an overstuffed project. Like, let's maybe try to reel it in. Like, doesn't necessarily mean that Mia can't. We know it's like a 2-part, maybe 3-part finale now.
Right.
So like, why Mia doesn't have to be in 10. Like, let her come up in 10 part 2 or 11, whatever we want to call it, and like have a reason for her to be there. Granted, as a fan, cool to see her, like Jordana Brewster. It just doesn't make sense that she was there, and the movie being a movie tried to make it make sense, and then they just kind of like, well, wasn't happening. So that stuff didn't necessarily work. Brie Larson is good in this movie. She doesn't have she has enough to do, but you could tell even with her that it's more like she'll have more to do in the future. I don't know how you can watch it and like totally dislike her. She has the action stuff down. Like, she has like a few really good like fun scenes in the movie. She is Mr. Nobody's daughter. She is Kurt Russell's daughter. She immediately is like kind of on Dom's side because she kind of sees like what's happening within her agency and how they're turning on the family. They call them the family a lot, which kind of is really cheesy. But she has some good stuff with Vin Diesel. She has like one really good scene with Michelle Rodriguez. She also has a really funny action scene towards the end that involves Jason Momoa because he's just so silly. Where you can just tell that they were having fun. And she kind of like jumps on the hood of his car, and he like realizes that she's on the hood, and he's like going back and forth like with her because she's like shot down some of his people, and he's just like very flamboyant, like, "Can you please get off my car?" And then she like is like, and she's standing on it, and she just like uses her sneakers to like just make a smudge on it, and he's just like, "Oh," like he's just very like, it's just really like in brand with like what they're doing. And you can just tell that they were really in on the joke kind of thing. It was, I don't know. Right. I thought she was really good. I don't think there's anything that you can really say that you can, unless you just want to hate her, just to hate her. But like, it was funny though. It's like what Ty and you said too. Like, including her in it, it was a low risk move for her. Like, movie open to like a massive amount overseas or globally. Like, you're a part of that, and apparently she's a big Fast fan. That's why she wanted to be in it. She was really like, I really want to be in this, and like, so
mission accomplished.
So yeah, very low risk for her, and
more than likely another appearance in a later movie or two too, which is nice to secure, work.
Yep. So overall it was fun. I mean, like I said, I think I put it on Instagram. At this point, they're the Avengers, and like I've just accepted it.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, you know what? After this movie, I was like, you know what? Fast and the Furious. If you're a big fan of Too Fast, Tokyo Drift, even Fast and Furious, those movies are still there. They still exist. We can still be like, all right, we can still have them as like a humbler reminder of what the franchise once was.
Well, and it's funny you say that.
We can also accept what it is now.
Yeah. On Saturday, I remember discussing this when we had Ty on doing the Fast episode. I didn't get the chance to watch it beforehand like I would have liked to, but I did. I was feeling it. So as I'm sure I sent you this message. Anyway, long story short, got a new Blu-ray player and I broke it in over the weekend on Saturday. Nice. The first movie I watched in it was the first Fast and Furious, and man, I don't know. I think a big part of like my enjoyment from that movie was just knowing where the series has gone over the years, and then to have come back to the first one after like quite a few years from having last seen it. Yeah. It was just so nice to be back into this grounded like action movie. I had a blast. Thought it was awesome. I like really enjoyed my time watching that movie, and it was just, you're right though, it is completely not like these later ones. It doesn't even feel like the same universe. You just have these same characters, but they've gone such crazy different directions. But there was not quite a bit I'd say I forgot about it, but there were a couple aspects of that movie that I had kind of like forgotten how much I enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
So it was really good to be back to the roots, and I really want to rewatch Tokyo Drift as well. I think I have a rewatch of that coming up here soon.
Are you gonna skip Too Fast, Too Furious?
I think so. But I'm thinking like now that I'm like watching them in anticipation of 10, I haven't seen 4 or 5 in quite a while, so I may as well get those in too. Maybe like over like the course of June.
Dude, Merc had that on his rankings, and I actually left him a comment on G-Reels, on my G-Reels.
Yes.
He had Fast and Furious last in his rankings. Like after
I saw his ranking. I was very surprised at a few of those.
9, and I was like, Fast and Furious is a banger. Don't underestimate a little reunion movie. It's good.
And he had like Fast 10 and like number 5 or 6 or something.
I thought it was high too. I mean, it's still fun, but like I was more shocked to see Fast and Furious like deep last after Fast 9.
I was very surprised too.
And I was like, all right, well, everyone has the right to their own opinion.
Yeah,
I think he thought the movie was boring. I mean, I rewatched it recently, and I don't recall it being boring. I mean, again, it's like it still holds up. I think pretty well.
I thought so too. Absolutely held up.
And it really is the last of like semblance of what the franchise humble beginnings
were. Soon after that, it kind of goes very much.
And you kind of tell even at the beginning of that movie with the whole big action set piece with Letty, and like, that's her only big scene in the movie. But like, you could tell even with that scene that like, oh, like I feel like they're trying to transition into something else that's not going to be so underground street racy, and like, yeah. They were planting the seeds even then. I still think
that movie was a time capsule though of the early 2000s. Like from the music that was played during some sequences to the clothing and like the hair and makeup department of that movie.
Yeah,
just obviously the vehicles, but they're classic. It's cool now to go back and see it, but it's interesting being back and seeing like that 2000s kind of flair to that movie. It's come a long way.
Right,
put it that way.
And you told me you don't care if I give anything away. There are cameos galore in Fast 10.
Okay, who do we got?
Well, one is Pete Davidson. I'll just give that away for no reason, just for them to have Pete Davidson. It's a funny scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think your love of it will come from whether or not you like him or not.
Right.
I think he's funny. I think he's
funny too.
Right, yeah.
I mean, as an actor, I don't know like really like one way or the other about him, but like he does some funny shit.
Yeah,
I'm all right with Pete.
So that was fun. We already knew about Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
That was given away. So he's definitely back.
Interesting.
And Dante, who Dante is a character played by Jason Momoa. He's also after him because the whole thing with Dante is that like in Fast 5, the Reyes character, he dies in Fast 5. That is Dante's father. So he's trying to avenge like his father's death. Even though in Fast 10 he acknowledges that like, oh yeah, my father was an asshole. He wasn't a good person, but basically he was my father.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Like,
how I felt about him. So there's that. So he is also after Hobbs. So I'm guessing that's why he'll be involved moving forward.
Okay.
Then there's one more. And you want me to give it away, or you want to hold on?
Go ahead. I don't know if I'll get the chance to see it in theaters. I'd like to if I see it, but I probably will forget anyway.
All right, guys. If you're listening, just in case you haven't seen it, Dwayne Johnson one was already given away. That's why I didn't like throw in like the spoiler thing. This one is a little bit spoiler. I mean, even though some trades are starting to publish it now, but we did speculate when people die in the Fast and Furious franchise, they don't appear to really die. So,
Who
so,
comes
si-
back?
so since she's not busy doing Wonder Woman, I think she felt that she could come back. So Giselle is alive. We see her briefly. There's a whole scene where like Cypher and Letty they escape where they're being held. It's somewhere in Antarctica randomly. And
Of
then
course it
and then
is.
this like big like sub thing comes out of the ice, right? And I'm like, oh, who the fuck is this gonna be? And then the top opens and it's just Giselle. She has binoculars and she sees them and she waves and then like and I guess they're gonna be using her moving forward too. It's towards the end of the movie, or at the end of the movie actually. So that is so she didn't die on that very large long runway in Fast Six.
Oh my god!
I'm sure they'll explain it. Now, I just read an interview with Michelle Rodriguez. She said that they were trying to get cameos from her. I guess even earlier than this movie. I don't know how much earlier.
Okay,
but still, I mean, granted, I like Giselle. I like Gal Gadot.
of course.
It's one of those things too, where it's like I like Mia and I like Jordana Brewster, but it has to make sense. And so there feels like there's no stakes when people.
That's what I was about to say. Stakes. Like, how does that? How can you even like really think that anybody is gonna die in these movies? That there's gonna be any consequences to them doing things if they can just be brought back on a whim? I just feel like that would detract from the movie so much. But well, interesting. I guess I can't say I'm surprised. I just didn't know whose name you were gonna drop. But now that you said it, of course she's still alive.
Were you hoping for Jesse?
That would have been cool. I wasn't already with
that. That would have been more unexpected, I think. Like, oh, okay, well, cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Drive by.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, we all saw. Mentioned it even before this came out. Like, we wouldn't be surprised if they brought her back.
Right, because anybody could be brought back at this point.
And I'm sure it's going to be some fun reunion between her and Han. Now, the director of this movie, he is directing the next one. He said that there's going to be some sad moments for our characters. I don't know if that means, that maybe these things will happen where these characters might die eventually, and like that'll be the end of it. I think that I don't know, man. I think that Diesel and company, they're so attached to some of these people that they don't have the like fucking strength to let them go.
No, they don't have the balls
to let them go. And like it's just, granted I'm sure there are probably a ton of people that saw it opening weekend either in the States or overseas that love seeing her in that little moment at the end. And then there are people like me that are like, all right, that's cool, I guess. But I would like something to stick. I mean,
yeah, I'd say that ship has left the harbor, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
overall, fun movie. I mean, it's 2 hours and 20 something minutes. It didn't feel like it.
That's awesome.
So I'll give it that. It didn't feel like oh, when is it over? It goes pretty quick. And then honestly, if anything, if you take anything from it, just bask in the glory of Jason Momoa's performance, because it's truly really good. Not like over the top, like, oh, this guy is zany. Like I've never really thought much of him as an actor. I always thought like, oh yeah, he seems like fun, charismatic dude, but I've never really thought of him much as like an actor. That's kind of how I feel
about him. Yeah.
He made some really fun choices in this that were like, oh, like he really understood what he needed to do to sell that character, and where it's like, he felt genuinely evil, but then also completely insane, where he can find like somewhere in the middle to make that work. And there was humor in it, all that dark humor in it, actually. I mean, he got it. I mean, if there's anything to take away from it, is that he is the MVP of that movie.
No doubt. And that's good to be able to say about the villain, because they're not always that memorable, or they don't seem to like really stick around a whole lot. That's something that like other massive franchises have struggled with, I think, is like really putting a lot of stock behind their villains. So it's good to hear, actually. It's kind of refreshing. See what happens with him going forward. I'm not in the know. I don't want to know anything about where he ends up, but I can only imagine. Hopefully, I think in their interest to stick with somebody at least for more than a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're comparing it to like Infinity War, right? I feel like he's gonna be like their Thanos if they want to keep him around. I don't know. Right. See, like he's like
easy to draw those comparisons.
He's the new big bad.
Right.
Well, at least if you're gonna have one, I feel like a legitimate threat. It would feel like more of like a legitimate threat if I felt like any of these people's lives were in actual danger. Since you keep bringing people back, it's hard to be like, think that way.
Right.
But in the moment, like within the movie, within certain scenes, it was interesting seeing like Dom not in control of a situation, like where someone was like one-upping him and like outthinking him and then like outmaneuvering him. Vin Diesel wasn't afraid to show that, which I thought kind of like with his ego, he would not want to show
Right.
that, but like he really, there are a lot of scenes where clearly Momoa is in charge of what's going
Okay.
on. So I thought that was pretty cool, at least that you got to see our heroes being in like pretty vulnerable position, and I think also separating them was like a pretty good
Right.
idea too. Like because they had to rely on either just each other, the people that they were with, or they had to rely on new people.
Right.
As you know, the whole concept of family permeates through that whole thing.
Absolutely it does.
So separating the family was like a big theme in this movie. So there's that. I mean, I think you'll have fun. I think you'll have fun. But I guarantee you, once you see it, I'm gonna get a message from you. They're like, "That's so fucking ridiculous."
Yeah. Stay tuned. I'm sure I'll let you know if I do plan to go see it and when that is. But before then, I'm sure I'm going to get at least a couple more of those in. Like Tokyo Drift, I think I'm gonna try and get a rewatch of that here soon, maybe this week, depending on what my week looks like. But yeah, well, exciting. I'm glad you had fun because obviously I know you're a big fan of these movies. It's always good to at least go in and at least have your whistle wet a little bit. So I'm glad for that for you.
Yeah, and I think too, man. I think at the end of the day, I think if you are a fan of the franchise, I think at this point you've latched onto these characters, and that's another thing that it's like comfort food a little bit.
Yeah, just see them do something.
Yeah, like you've across 10 movies, you at least whether they come in or out, like you've known them for so long, and they've been a part of like your cinematic life for so long. It's like kind of interesting, even if some of the stuff is crazy. You're like, you feel like you're in it with like these ragtag group of people that you actually know. And I think that kind of helps accept a lot of the things that happen because you're invested in like, these characters and also the people that play them, because you can tell that they legit like each other and they love doing it. And like there's no like phoning it in. Like you tell like they were having a good time. So like that's another winning thing about the franchise.
100%. And speaking of other massive blockbuster action series, we finally got a first look at the next Mission Impossible movie, Dead Reckoning. We had a great week trailer wise, and I want to get into those here soon with you. But before that, I was thinking it might be a good idea to do round 2 of our draft before we get into the trailers. I think we got 4 to bring to you guys today to break down.
We do,
and one of those,
some are better than others.
Some are better than others. We've got lots of good ones. So my thinking here, so I chose this round of the draft. We were thinking about drafting Martin Scorsese movies in honor of getting our first look at Killers of the Flower Moon, because we got that teaser, that 1.5-minute teaser, if not longer, which I don't know about you, I was very ecstatic about. I thought it was just obscure enough to not really give you a whole look at
I
too
think
much
that's what
of the
we
movie.
need. And we need more of that from movie trailers.
Exactly.
Because it's just a first look. Like, yeah, it's just a first look, and we don't need to like show. God, it's crazy what you could show in 3.5 minutes where it feels like you've seen the whole movie.
One trailer on here, as good as it was, I'm going to get into. I think it showed us way too much, so I was very appreciative of whoever crafted that Killers of the Flower Moon teaser. They did a great job. I mean, obviously the plot is out. We know at least what to expect, and you can kind of pick up in the trailer from what we saw who was what and what's going on, but by no means was it too revealing, and I thought the standout to me was the cinematography. It looked beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Very excited. I've heard lots of talk about this being one of, if not Leonardo's best performances, people are saying, which I'm like, I take that to heart.
It's hard to find, right?
As good as he is, I don't hear that thrown about him every single time he's in a movie that it's his best, at least not since like Wolf of Wall Street, maybe. But anyway, so we hear that thrown around. That's pretty awesome. But before then, if it was all right with you, I thought maybe we would start our draft of Martin Scorsese movies. No holds bars, anything that he's directed, long or short. Yes.
Whoa! I could have included a certain music video.
Which one? No, which music videos he directed?
He directed Michael Jackson's "Bad" from like 1987. Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. I might have to like.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Hey,
all right,
I'm not going to be stealing it from you. So if you really want
it, drop just in case people didn't know that he directed that music video, which is a pretty.
That's quite interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah,
a lot of directors have done music videos, which is cool. Like David Fincher.
David Fincher. That's how I got to start.
That's right, and by no means are they the only two either, which is really cool.
Very true.
But I let you go first last time, so unfortunately, I got to start this one.
Like you son of a bitch.
I'm starting with probably my first Scorsese watch I ever would have got, at least the one I had the earliest memories of, and definitely the one I've seen the most, and I got to go with my movie Goodfellas. It would be right without having it. So Getting it out of the way. I know there was one
see.
that you wanted.
You guys can't see my face right now. I just X'd it out because it was on.
Yeah. That's one of my dad's favorites too, and I think I like that movie. I'd seen it with him when I was really young, and I've seen it many times over the years. So just getting that out of the way. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna be happy because that leaves you one that you wanted. So
it does, but now I'm like, which one do I go with?
This guy has so many fucking movies.
Yeah, so, you know what?
Both lists will be great.
Everyone listening, I know you're probably like, go for something like bigger and older and like a classic. And I think this is like a modern day classic of his. And I just want to take it before Jackson does. I'm going to throw in The Departed.
Man, awesome. I kind of think that's where you're going. A goddamn masterpiece, not by no means a wrong choice. That is incredible. And of all his movies, that's his only Best Picture winner, which is beyond me.
So
crazy.
A lot of people feel like, he got that as like a career. It's a good movie, but a lot of people feel a great movie. Actually, a lot of people think it's a career Oscar at that point for him.
Heard anybody say that something else should have won over? Like, what was it up for against?
I can't think of it. I gotta look it up, but like, I think that was the clear. And then he won Best Director that year too. I mean, the year that Goodfellas didn't win Best Picture, and the year that he didn't win Best Director for that, it was Dances with Wolves. Which no offense to anyone that loves that movie, it's a long slog of a movie for me. And it won Best Picture, and Kevin Costner won Best Director that year.
Right.
A lot of people feel that should have gone to Scorsese with Goodfellas.
That's really tough. I like Dances with Wolves, and I love Kevin Costner. But I mean, really, I don't know. I think Goodfellas is the better movie, but Departed is a fantastic choice. You know what? I didn't even have it. I didn't even put it on my list because I just knew you were going with it.
You're gonna think I was gonna snag it.
Not even out any other picks. But maybe kind of following your steps in a little bit on like this later part of his career, I'm gonna go with Wolf of Wall Street. Again, this isn't necessarily like my order of my favorite Martin Scorsese movies, but it's just such a rewatch.
This is an order of stealing them from Gaius.
Is that one you think you would have went with? Well, then I'm glad I have it because
I just crossed it off. It was on there.
behind Goodfellas, I think I'd say this might be the one I would have seen the most of after, and it's such a great movie for like Scorsese fans and for just like mainstream, like casual moviegoers can really eat this movie up because it's so entertaining.
Yeah.
And again, there's our boy Leo in it. Jonah Hill has like a very
good part in it.
Cast is awesome throughout. It's hilarious. Definitely a dark comedy or a black comedy above everything else.
Yep.
And so I'm happy to have that on my team here.
All right, so I'm gonna go with something older because I didn't do it before, and I had to draft Taxi Driver.
Nice pick, man.
Great movie. Great fucking performance from Robert De Niro. Probably one of his best performances, I think. We also get a very young Jodie Foster here too.
That's right. We got Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, displaying a lot of young natural talent. You know what? Do we give her enough credit for being like a child star and like making it through that without like being relatively unscathed? Like, you seem like she made that transition, probably maybe arguably in a pretty difficult time too. I mean, like I don't know if it's more difficult then or if it was for my generation of young stars who like start young and then try to transition into adulthood, but like she did it. Seemed like she did it seamlessly. Like no real issue. So, but no, I love that movie. I actually am due for a rewatch of it. It's been like a few years.
You know what?
I do own it back here somewhere, but I will definitely need to watch it again. But yeah, it's one of my
great pick. You cannot go wrong with Taxi Driver. That one is amazing and definitely put him on the map. Palme d'Or winner, 76?
76,
right? Which is awesome. And actually, so he hadn't been back to Cannes until this year. Is that right? He had been like 30 something years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
No, sorry. He'd been there after, but I don't think it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, yeah.
But I love seeing all the press for him while he's there with his cast for Killers of the Flower Moon now.
And apparently the buzz is good. The buzz is good on that one, man.
Yes, very excited. Taxi Driver, that's one you can say that you stole from me. That was coming up here soon. Which throws my ranking all in a whack. So for my third pick, I'm going to go and throw it back to a little older one of his too. And I go with Raging Bull, another De Niro vehicle. That movie. I'm even more due to rewatch from that than I am with Taxi Driver. I've only seen Raging Bull once, but it's fantastic. And to anyone that hasn't seen it, it is, immaculate. It's one of his best, I'd say.
Yeah, for people that do these kind of like snake drafts things where you can't have the same thing on your list.
Yeah.
The chicken scratch on here right now is like really like just like switching stuff, numbering stuff, scratching stuff out.
Yeah.
I should have been fully aware that like these would be one of the ones that you would take. You'll strike me as like the Age of Innocence guy, so I don't know.
It's one of his I haven't seen, but That's on my bucket list to get through his entire filmography, and that is definitely one I'd like to see. But no, I had to sneak up Raging Bull. It wouldn't be complete without it. So sorry,
All right. That's all right. So I'm gonna go, since I couldn't have Goodfellas, I'm gonna go something kind of adjacent because it
I know where you're going.
also stars Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and that's Casino, which I think is
Fantastic.
very underrated in terms of like, I think it gets compared a lot to Goodfellas, and rightfully so, because like two of the main people are in it, directed by the same guy.
Yep.
Kind of the same vibe ish, but I think that it stands on its own. I think more people appreciate it more now when they see it with a lot of distance from like, because that came out in '95, I believe, and like still, that was like 5 years or so after Goodfellas. Still pretty close enough where it's like this, feels like the same thing a little bit.
You're right.
But
They're definitely counterparts in terms of his movies, right?
But yeah, I love it. It's long, but it's worth every minute of it. And also props to Sharon Stone in this movie too, because like for a long time before this movie, she was known because she had done Total Recall, and then most notably like Basic Instinct, which is like no more for being like sexy in it, and there's a lot of sex scenes in it. She was known for that, and he gave her a shot, to prove that like she's like a legitimate actress, and she nominated for an Oscar for it. She steals a handful of scenes from the dudes in this movie, and I guess also what I liked hearing in retrospect, she said that De Niro and Pesci were two of the most polite people she's ever worked with. So I thought that was actually really cool to hear from her, because like you're in this movie that's a boys' club. It feels like a boys' club. So like for her, like it's important that you feel valued and you feel safe and like you feel like you're in a good space with your co-stars. So that was nice to hear, especially with people and have been in that business for so long and have reputations for like longevity and all that. So that was nice to hear.
Right.
So I'm glad her experience on it was good, and I'm glad that she fought for it, and I'm glad that
because she is immaculate in that movie.
She's great in the movie. She's so fucking tornado.
Yeah, like every time, the few times that like Casino will come up, like whenever I mention it around my mom or something, she'll always say verbatim, like, "Oh, Sharon Stone is in that," or "She's like really great in that." I'm like, "Yep, that's right," and she definitely is.
Yeah, holds her own.
But great pick too, because that's a good one to have, if not for Goodfellas.
Yeah.
So for my number 4 spot, I was a toss-up between these movies, and I feel like I thought maybe you were going to go with this other one that I'm going to mention before. But I'm glad I get to pick this one because he definitely has a counterpart for his psychological thrillers. I feel like the obvious pick would be Shutter Island, but I'm actually going to go with an earlier one of his and draft Cape Fear on my number 4 spot.
You little bitch.
That movie is something. I only saw it one time a couple of years ago, and had heard the title before, but had never seen it. And,
have you seen the original?
No.
So it holds up pretty well. I mean, like they're both very good. De Niro's frightening though.
Is he ever?
And also, this was Juliette Lewis's big kind of break. Scorsese.
There you go.
She got nominated for an Oscar for this too. Scorsese's good at getting his actors either nominations or wins. So
yes, he is.
Nick Nolte also in it, Jessica Lange. There's some deeply uncomfortable scenes. Like all the scenes with De Niro and it's like make me very uncomfortable.
In the theater, the auditorium there. Oh yeah.
Like we were talking about Killer Joe and like scenes that make us uncomfortable. There's scenes in Cape Fear, specifically between him and Juliette Lewis, that are like cringy. But I mean,
yes,
not in like a cringy like they're bad, like they're not done well, like cringy, just like you just feel so uncomfortable watching.
It makes you squeamish and physically like repulse, right?
Yeah.
Also it has a great climactic like battle on the boat there, like a good fight sequence towards the end, and he definitely doesn't come out unscathed. It's a great psychological thriller. And I have a lot of friends who like have seen Shutter Island a million times, and I'd recommend anybody that really likes that or is tired of watching Shutter Island every movie night or date night for a psychological thriller to try Cape Fear, because it's an earlier one. It's also from the 90s.
Just throw a fit. Just like, hey, we know Shutter Island's there. We know you love Leo. But let's go watch this older one, especially your friend Jackson. Like it came out in the early 90s, so your friends are gonna be like, oh no.
Actually, you know what? I think he did it directly after Goodfellas. I'm pretty sure it's 91.
I think so. I think it was for that. The movie poster used to frighten me as a child. The cover art is just like
it's just
like just his eyes, and like I guess it's like in the water, like where the stuff takes place. It actually still gives me like the heebie-jeebies. And I was actually going to talk about you. Like, we can talk about it live right now. I wanted to we've talked about adding like sound effects and like images to like our
Yes.
episodes. I think I want to throw that image of that poster right
That's a great idea.
into the middle of that in this conversation because it's just so like it's so creepy. It still creeps me out. There are certain posters that still give me, and that's one of them. My mom
That is a good
just
one.
like put my head down and like walk away, like, well, I don't want to see it. But yeah, good choice, and I agree with you. Like as far as like you want to watch the psychological thriller that he directed, Shutter Island is a easy choice because it's really popular and it did well. And it has Leo.
And it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
It's good, and I'm glad you didn't take it because I'm taking Shutter Island right now.
Awesome pick. I wanted to have both, but I was like, if I have to go with one psychological thriller, I have to go with one or the other. So, you know, all the power to you. Great pick.
Cool to see Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie like this. I mean, I think that, this is the closest we're ever going to get to him being, this isn't really a horror movie, right? But it's like, it kind of walks the line of being like a psychological thriller, like kind of like, I think some people would like,
it was marketed kind of as a horror movie. I remember I was 12 when this movie was coming out and seeing the trailer for it of like, remember the shot from the trailer of the old woman in the courtyard?
Yeah.
Like doing the to him. It's like, that's fucking creepy, man.
So yeah, I agree. I think there are, if you guys go back and look at trailers and TV spots for this, I think there, in the marketing at least, there were shades of like, maybe influences of like horror, at least psychological horror.
Yes.
In it. So yeah, it was a good change of pace for him. The cast is great. Michelle Williams, also great in the movie. Mark Ruffalo. I like, anything with him in it.
Yes.
Mark Ruffalo is another reliable presence in any movie that he's featured in.
Is.
And it's just, also good. I just love that like Scorsese can direct movies like this too. Like his filmography is so varied and diverse that like he can touch on stuff like, with these kind of themes too. It's weird. I don't know if I can call it underrated because it did make money, but I don't know if like people in the grand scheme of like his movies, how much it gets maybe talked about now.
It's hard with a guy with the filmography as deep as his, right? Like right. I feel like you can only give so much praise to so many of his movies because there's so many to give praise to. But I feel like at least in the mainstream, like Shutter Island, even if it's not associated with Scorsese as being like one of his better ones, the movie itself gets a lot of love. I still think even 13 years on.
I think so too.
That is I'd say it's a favorite of mine, actually, of his movies. It's one I've gone back to many times. And I actually read the book. It's authored by Dennis Lehane, who is the same author as, you ever seen Mystic River, directed by
yes.
Same author as Shutter Island. Yeah.
I've been keeping, I don't know when I'm going to use it. I've been keeping Mystic River in my back pocket as a deep dive. And I don't know when I'm going to use it. Dude, even if like, depending on when I use it, you might have to be on that one.
I would love to.
Because I don't know if Owen's seen it either. So like, if
that'd be a great watch for him.
That'd be a good first watch for him. Like that movie, I haven't watched it in like almost 10 years, I think. But like it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I just remember like in those, or like when it first came out and then watching it a few more times on like DVD and like and all that stuff. Like it just stays with you long after it's over. Like you feel that movie all over you. Like, it's just like,
I feel like I didn't mention it, but I did watch that only a handful of months ago.
Oh, nice. You did not. Yeah, it's a solid
we watched. Yeah, and that was one of was it Sean Penn's first or second Oscar? He won for that.
I think first.
Oh, yeah, and then Milk.
And then Milk. Yeah,
right. You're right.
And a lot of people in that cast were nominated for Oscars. I think it won Best Picture that year too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh shit! I think.
And then Clint Eastwood. I always talk about Clint Eastwood movies. So I'm always like, hey, like it feels like he doesn't have his own like unique style. I guess like when I watch a Clint Eastwood movie, I'm not like, is this a Clint Eastwood movie?
Right, you can't always tell.
But this one, I know. I feel like compared to his other things that he's directed, there's just something about it that it's just kind of gritty and like dirty is the wrong word, but it is very much like you feel it, like because there's a lot of like kind of deep, really unsavory things that happen in it, and it's
there are, and
he doesn't shy away from exploring that, and it's also just a great fucking acting showcase for almost everyone in it. Everyone in that movie has a moment.
Yes, they do.
And it's a really good movie. Yeah. I'm gonna use that one day, man.
Yeah, do it definitely. Let me know in advance.
Yeah.
So that guy, Dennis Lehane, awesome storyteller, because I mentioned I read the book Shutter Island, and it's almost beat for beat the same thing. There's some minor changes. Yeah. But Martin Scorsese directs the hell out of that movie. So, man, I just want to rewatch Shutter Island, but it'd be like literally the 20th watch of it. Like I think, like I've seen it.
Everyone has their like kind of go-to movie. How many times I've seen The Lost Boys?
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I did
I've
love
seen
that
it
movie too. That's
like
awesome.
like when I got it on 4K, I think I watched it like
Lost
a
in
month.
the shadows.
Yeah, there you go. So I
I
think
had the song on my phone.
I think I watched it like a month before I got on 4K. And I was like, well, I got it on 4K. I have to watch it now. Like
Yes.
one of my buddies was like, dude, you just watched it. I was like, I know. It's just such a good
I
fun.
wonder if it has any like sort of like anniversary coming up because I would love to cover that movie sometime.
We
Maybe in October.
actually had an anniversary
Oh, did
last
you?
year,
Oh, nice. Okay.
but don't be afraid to use it for like. I feel like we're gonna have some kind of like October Halloween
Yeah.
showcase. Honestly, I honestly wouldn't even mind like doing that September and October because September usually is like a dull, dead month for
Yes.
movies.
It may as well just blend it in with October. That's how I like to
Yeah,
do things. So yeah,
but yeah,
we
if you
can
want
talk
to,
about that later.
I will have no problem bringing back the Lost Boys in some
Okay,
capacity
perfect.
for talk, of course.
Good. All right, moving on to my final pick in the number 5 spot. A movie that I was grappling with. I didn't know if I would end up going this route. I feel like if I had seen more earlier Martin Scorsese movies, I maybe would go with one of those. But like I hate to say it out loud, there's still several of his earlier movies I have not seen, like King of Comedy, After Hours, I have not seen. So don't judge me, guys. I didn't want to pick something that I haven't seen by him, or else I would probably have it. But I'm going with The Irishman as my last pick.
Oh, not Hugo.
I
skip.
haven't seen Hugo either. Actually,
I've seen it. It's like no, I'm just messing with you. I've seen it. It's fine.
But
not on the top tier.
No, probably not. I don't imagine, but I would love to see it because I'd like to see everything that he's made. But The Irishman, I actually have a Criterion version of this movie. I'm very excited to rewatch it. I only saw it the once when it came out. God damn, is it a lengthy one though? So I think I might break it up. My buddy Cam,
long, y'all,
long. But there was this somebody broke down his movies, and this one in particular, into like 4 segments to kind of watch as like episodes where like they have like the time you should pause it at if you want to break it up in them over multiple days. I think I might approach this movie because it'd be hard to block off like 3.5 hours or 4 hours to watch this. But
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, The Irishman is another late masterpiece by Marty, so have to include it.
All right, so my last one, and it was a toss up between 2 Leonardo DiCaprio movies. He's in both of these.
Okay. I think I know where you're going.
And I ended up going with The Aviator.
Okay. Over Gangs of New York.
Gangs of New York, yeah. Here's the deal: Gangs of New York. Daniel Day-Lewis is great in it. I think it has some issues, which is why I didn't totally go with it.
I see that,
but it's still entertaining. I still think like even with a Scorsese movie with issues, it's still better than most directors.
100%, yes.
But no, another. We talked about great Leonardo DiCaprio performances. I think this is up there as
haven't
one of his
seen
best.
Yet.
Yeah. Oh wow, you should see it. It's good.
I have it on DVD. It's waiting for me over there, but I just haven't thrown it in yet.
Nominated for an Oscar, he didn't win. I believe this is the year that Jamie Foxx won for Ray, I think.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. 2004.
And both good performances, but I think Leonardo DiCaprio, like he plays up all of Howard Hughes's what's the right word for this? Very eccentric dude. And like he plays up all of those things really well. Kate Blanchett won her Oscar for this.
Oh wow!
Like Katharine Hepburn does a very
awesome.
Does a very good Katharine Hepburn. So, I mean, because Katharine Hepburn has a very distinct voice, and so it's hard to like not like my friend Shannon used to always make fun of it, like Kate Blanchett in the movie. Like, it's a good performance, but like it's just the way she talks. It's just really like
Kate Blanchett is so special. She's a true chameleon.
Yeah, and there's actually other great people. I think Kate Beckinsale's in this movie too. Like there's a lot of like really good stuff in it, and I think it's handled really well. I think it's one of his better like recent movies. I mean, we're gonna say recent. I know it came out like in the early 2000s, but like it's still
honestly
good.
Yeah. I break up his filmography as like pre and post 2000s.
Yeah. Another long one. This is a very ongoing theme with Scorsese.
All of his, right?
But worth every minute of it. I think you'll like it. I mean, I can't see you coming out of it being like, oh, that wasn't good.
I doubt there'd be anything that he has created that I wouldn't really thoroughly enjoy.
So I have to ask you, because like you said this a few times about a few movies where you're like, oh, I haven't watched it yet, but I have it on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. So do you do you blind buy stuff and be like, oh, like I might like this movie? Yeah. So I used to do that a lot. Yeah, that's funny that you do that because I used to do it all the time. And like my friends like, why don't you just like rent it or something first? Like, no, I think I might like it. Like, and just if I don't, I can return it. It's all in the name
of growing the collection, especially if it's like a filmmaker of his quality. Like I know I want. My collection won't be complete until I have everything directed by that guy. He's like just one of those, one of the best directors to ever do it. So I just know, even if it's not for me, I do have plenty of DVDs that I may never watch again. Movies that I bought, didn't care for, or I thought I liked them more than I did. Then I rewatched them. And I was like, yeah. But it's a collection, right? It's like, that's my hobby. So doesn't really bother me. I'd say that I have quite a significant amount in my collection that I have not seen yet, even having since bought them,
Yeah,
even for
wow.
years now. Yeah.
So like what my problem is that I have is that once I started getting more Blu-rays and 4Ks, there's still certain DVDs I still have over here that I'm not gonna get rid of because I don't have them on Blu-ray or
Right.
4K. Now there are movies that I've gotten on Blu-ray or 4K that have replaced the DVDs,
Oh yeah.
and I haven't gotten rid of them per se. They're just in the closet, like kind of tucked away. Like I mean, like what if something happens to the Blu-ray or
You may as well
4K,
keep it, right?
or
Yeah.
it gets scratched, or like I can't really do anything with it anymore. Like I don't know. It feels weird like throwing it out or like giving it to Goodwill or like anything like
Right.
that. Uh, but yeah, that's ongoing. I think most
Yeah.
collectors probably have that issue about like
It's
what
kind of
is
frustrating. Freaks me out sometimes. I'm like, I wish I could say like that I've seen them all and then I could just knock them down off the list, but
yeah.
it's so unmanageable. I
Yeah,
can't.
I know it's true.
But yeah,
That was fun. That was a fun
that was
draft. That
good.
was actually hard. That was actually you had more of my stuff this time than I had to do a lot of crossing
Oh,
out.
is that right? Eh?
Do a lot of crossing out, and I knew you were gonna pick stuff like Wolf of Wall Street. I knew you were gonna take Goodfellas. That was payback for me taking Michael Myers last week.
That's right.
So,
Yes, it is,
I think
and I'm okay with that.
but yeah, another fun one. So let us know. You know what? We'll throw. I'll throw like a question up on the Back to the Blockbuster page and G Reels and see like
Good
what
idea.
we should draft next.
That's
And
a
we'll kind of,
fantastic idea. Let
and
us know,
we'll
guys.
and we'll look in your suggestions, and this will be a brand new segment as we cross into 100 episodes. It's fun. Actually, I
Great,
enjoy it.
awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed it too. I hope you guys
Yeah.
enjoyed as well. So moving on then to our trailers, keeping in line with Martin Scorsese. What did you think about the Killers of the Flower Moon trailer?
I think it looks really good. I think I was more
I
amazed
guess
by how like beautiful the movie looks.
that
Like it
I
looks
remember feeling the same way.
it looks really really gorgeous. And I know there were some people I went on Twitter and there were some people that are looking forward to the movie, want to be blown away more by the trailer, that they felt bad that they didn't like enjoy it more. I think there's because
It
there's
is a teaser though. Like
yeah,
I'm
and
sure they
I
might
think
be changing
yeah,
their mind.
right. And I think because there's been so much build up, with that one image that we all saw for like months and months and months, and that was the only image we saw from the movie. And then of course it's Scorsese and it's DiCaprio and it's De Niro, and and like it's a lot riding on it. Like I get why like people wanted more maybe from it, but I thought it was a good teaser, and I think it looks great. All the early buzz from Cannes that I've read so far is very very good.
Mm.
This Lily Gladstone, I believe, who's in this, is already
She's been told
getting
like the
so much
MVP of the
buzz.
movie.
Yeah, she is
Yes,
getting
very
so
happy
much
for her.
buzz already. I mean, I guess they all are, but I've been seeing her name a lot amongst
Yeah,
early
me
viewings
as
of
well.
this. I'm excited for it. I'm going to see it in theaters. I know, like, my buddy sent me something. He was like, "Well, when is it going to hit Apple TV Plus?" Because it says an undisclosed time on Apple TV Plus. It has a date for its theatrical
Okay.
release. I know this is a tempting one to watch at home. I just think you should, if you can, support it theatrically because, like,
Yes.
Scorsese's doing the big. He's not turning his back on streaming. He just wants them to work in conjunction with each other.
Right.
Theatrical and streaming, and that having Paramount distribute it theatrically, and then of course, if people don't want to go see it in theaters, they got a later date. They can like check it out exclusively on Apple TV Plus. So I think that's a best of both worlds scenario that you don't really get with Netflix. So I, he's considered the old guard now, right? Because he's been doing this for a long time. But I'm really glad that,
Yes.
like, despite that, he's very open to like change and kind of what this is. So I'm glad that he's
Yeah.
he's getting to have it both ways with this. And I know he's worked very hard on it. I know he's a classic is stuff of legend when it comes to editing. He's a
Takes his
stickler for
grand
getting
old
it right.
time. Yeah.
And he took his grand old time. I mean, this was supposed to come out late last year. That was the original kind of time frame for this, and it just wasn't ready. And I kind of like that. He's like, nope, taking my time.
Yep. As it
there's
should.
no rush.
It's gonna
So, like,
takes a long time to make a masterpiece. So now
it
we
definitely
have
does.
all we know is it's coming out in October, right? We don't know anything about a specific day yet.
Let me see if I thought I might have had it. Let me see.
I haven't seen anything yet, but I mean,
Okay, and
come soon enough.
select cinemas on October 6th before
Oh.
a wide release in the United States on October 20th by Paramount
Okay.
Pictures. It is also scheduled, like we said, for an unspecified streaming release on Apple TV Plus.
I see. Okay. October 20th.
What did you think about the trailer overall?
I'm with you. Like, I realized it was a teaser. It didn't really give a whole lot away, which is fine. It was just nice to see all these shots of what we can expect going forward. But cinematography, mind blowing. I mean, say I'm surprised, but I guess I didn't expect to like really take that much away, as much as I did, rather. But I looked, and he's collaborated with Martin Scorsese before, his cinematographer for this movie. It's a Rodrigo Prieto. I don't know if I'm saying his
Yeah.
last name right, or can't remember. I looked at his IMDb page after I watched the trailer and saw that he'd worked with Scorsese on something prior. Can't remember what it is now, but he did a damn good job because that movie looks fantastic. The sets, the costume design, looks like everything you'd expect in a Martin Scorsese picture. Guy loves his historical accuracy too, and this movie is taking place in the 20s, so looks like he did a great job, and his whole entire cast and crew were one big cohesive unit because everything looks like it all fits into place wonderfully. Very excited. I mean, it was tight trailer, but I think it was textbook, just exactly what a teaser needs to do. And narrated by DiCaprio was fantastic as well, like very good. Him speaking.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, this also continues the Renaissance. Brendan Fraser's in this.
Yeah. We don't get a whole lot of them in the teaser, but I saw.
I know, not a lot. John Lithgow also in the movie. Jesse Plemons, also another good actor in the movie. And for those keeping track at home, this is the 7th collaboration between Scorsese and De Niro, and the 11th, or not De Niro, and DiCaprio, sorry, and the 11th collaboration between Scorsese and De Niro.
All right, those numbers make more sense. Yeah.
So that's, he has his people, man. Definitely. Why not? And why not?
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a good one. I've actually been looking forward to it since they announced it. So
yeah, 100%.
This is gonna be a good.
And his last one was 2019.
I believe so. Yeah.
The Irishman. Yeah. So it's a pretty good gap. Which, I mean, I hate to say it. I don't want to even like manifest this in any sort of way, but like, there's a chance. Like Marty's, he's not a young strapping lad anymore. He's in his 80s. But
bad juju.
I'm hoping he starts production on something else here soon because I
feel that way about the Ridley Scott's, the Clint Eastwood's.
Yes.
I think he's directing his last movie right now.
His
last movie
too, right?
Yeah, the Scorsese's, the Spielbergs, they're all getting up there.
Man, it's gonna be a tough few years when they all have to go.
Yep. But solid trailer. I'm glad we led with that one. What is next on the trailer docket?
We got an awesome trailer for Extraction 2. Very excited for that movie. That comes out the day before my birthday. Same day as The Flash, drops on Netflix, June 16th.
Yeah.
And I think they're going bigger and bolder with this one, which obviously like many action franchises do. But this is one that like on paper, maybe back in the day, I don't know if I would have like given it a second look at. But I was really impressed with the first Extraction. I think Sam Hargrave directed the hell out of it. One of the better action movies that come out, especially like as a streaming original. And the second one just looks like it's doing everything right.
Yeah, I think so too. So I guess as soon as I got the email from Netflix with the trailer and I posted it on G Reels, I immediately tagged you in it because I was like, "You."
Yes, you did. Thank you for that.
You are excited. Why excited for this? And I actually sent you this too. I can't wait to see this apparently massive, long, I guess no take actions, like no cut kind of action sequence that's like 20 something minutes long. Somewhere in there.
Long. It's something like there is quite a long one coming. I can't remember exactly how long, but there was a really good unbroken take in the first one too. That went on for a few minutes and it was super impressive. But yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna be that prison sequence that we saw in that teaser. And it's gonna be foolishly a long sequence, unbroken. Looks awesome.
Yeah.
But on that note, there's like quite a.
There we go. Sorry, I over. No. So there's 2. It says Extraction 2 will feature a 14-minute one-take action sequence, but then another source says that it has a 21-minute one-shot scene. So I don't know if like maybe the action part of it's 14, and then like maybe the scene itself is longer, and the action part of it's 14 minutes. But either way, it's insanely long.
I didn't hear about that 20. I heard that there was a 14-minute one, but I didn't know anything about that 21-minute. But that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But there are a lot of cool action set pieces it looks like we're going to get treated to just from that trailer alone. We got this awesome one. There's like some sort of infiltration of a moving train. There's a big sequence on that.
Yeah.
That's near the beginning of the trailer. It looks like that big prison yard sequence looks like it's going to be really cool too. And a lot of stuff in between. Looks like it's kind of moving into a little bit more of like an urban area, whereas the other movie kind of takes place in sort of like, it's urban, but different part of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't know the right word here.
It looks fun.
Looks like a blast. I mean, it's hard hitting action.
Took me back to like when the first, because I like we've talked a lot about like Netflix originals. Sometimes they're like hit or miss. But of course, this came out during like the peak of the pandemic, so there wasn't a lot to like
that's
watch really. So like, and it was I remember being like, oh, this is fun, and like a lot of Netflix movies, like they'll be with me in the moment and then I forget about them. This one actually kind of stood with me a little bit after it was over, so I'm excited. I remember when they announced the sequel, I was like, how are you going to do that? But
Yeah, the
still,
one gripe this they shouldn't have
yeah,
ended the first one as they did, or if they did, they should have kept it as a standalone
yeah,
because like kind of a little bit unbelievable how we can get this character to survive what he goes through at the end of the first one, but
yeah,
uh, not the first time that we've had to suspend our belief for an action movie, and happy to do it again, especially if one's going to be crafted this well and not have any of the bullshit typical of like a big Hollywood studio in their action movies.
right,
I'm okay with because this one is just directly to the point. It's just Chris
yep,
Hemsworth killing a bunch of people and nothing in between,
and
and
that's all we
I'm
need.
totally with that.
That's
He has
all
a
we
fun
need.
time doing it, and so I'm on board
Yep,
for Extraction 2. I'm all in. I can't wait to see it. That's single handedly. If I wasn't watching Better Call Saul right now, this would be the only other reason I even would bother having a
have your
Netflix
Netflix
account.
account.
Yes.
There you
So
go.
I'm excited. So shamelessly.
Well,
Um,
June 16th, same day as the
yes, that's
Flash.
right.
So you can watch
Yes.
Extraction 2 at home and then go see the Flash.
Probably exactly how I'm going to spend that weekend. Not going to lie.
Yep. Here we go.
Moving on to another action franchise, one that gets just better with age. We finally got our first look at Dead Reckoning Part One. Is it the seventh or the eighth Mission Impossible?
Seventh one now.
Seventh. And what did you think of that one?
It looks so. I watched it online, and then I didn't know this was going to be the case. But when we saw Fast 10, they played the trailer ahead of that, so it was cool
Nice.
seeing it on the big screen too. I don't know, man. I just think Tom Cruise is just like he's like, hey guys, I know I saved movies last year, but let me make sure that they're still safe. Like I
Right.
make sure I'm still saving them just in case like you guys had any doubts. I know. I think he's the best one to be doing movies like this right now. Like it seems like it. And there's
Absolutely.
like all the attention, the detail, and the like, even in the trailer with like the action sequences and stuff. I love that, like Ethan Hunt. I mean, of course, he has some lines in the trailer, but it's more of like he's so like feel like a mythic kind of person now, where it's like he doesn't have to say or do much, like
Right.
with words, like that's how badass the character is now. Uh,
Yep.
I know it just looks really good, and I love that having that huge stacked ensemble cast in the movie too.
They
There's
always
some,
bring a bunch to those
yeah,
movies.
it just looks like it's gonna be so much fun, and
Are you a fan of the
uh,
series, like overall?
I am. I mean, I've gotten. It was one of those things too. So I actually think the first one's really good. I love Brian De Palma's style on it and what he does with it. I'm not a huge
Good
fan of
job,
the
he's doing
second one that John Woo did, but
that.
it didn't like knock me out of it. And then the third one that J.J. Abrams did, it's not like it's bad. It just came out at the wrong time. This is like when Tom Cruise started. It was around the time he was doing like a lot of the couch jumping
Right.
and married Katie Holmes, and like he was
Yes.
saying a lot about Scientology at the time, and like you know,
Yes.
so that it's kind of mirrored in that a little
Right.
bit. But I think what happened beginning with Ghost Protocol all the way up until now is that it rejuvenated that franchise a bit, and
Big time.
it hasn't stopped since. Like I love Ghost Protocol. Like that's probably like my favorite one still of the bunch. Like to the point where I'm like, yo, like I still hope that one day they'll bring back Paula Patton. She was in the fourth one, and I don't know why we haven't brought her back. She was cool. Like
Mm.
there's room for her in there. Yeah, we even had Jeremy Renner in there for good measure for a couple of movies. So
I
I
would
thought
love
that
to
was
see
like,
him again. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, but I know I think they just began to get better with age, beginning with Ghost Protocol. It just seemed like
Mm,
they knew exactly what those movies are going to be from that point on. That's why I'm excited for this one.
certainly. Yeah, it's one of the rare instances of a series that has had as many entries as it has that just continues to get better with each release from a certain point. Like the Harry Potters, you could argue, have done that.
Yeah,
Very few franchises really can. I mean, usually they detract as you see a lot of this trend with huge, especially blockbuster action movies where they just get down and down in quality until eventually that they stop at the end of the trilogy or quadrilogy or whatever. But these
yeah,
ones seem to bring more people back to go see Ethan Hunt and the gang. They make more money each time, it seems.
yeah,
So, and this one looks like it's doing everything right too. Looks fantastic. Very excited. Was this the set that he had that big freak out during COVID on?
yeah. Because people were following the COVID
Right.
guidelines.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
on the internet
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
that's right.
He's a producer too on these things, man. Like
Yeah, he's liable.
he's the Vin Diesel of the Mission Impossible franchise.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean,
And
he's one of those guys that usually has it
oh,
together.
makes sense.
So to have that
Yeah,
freak out, like proof of that freak out, is kind of interesting. But
definitely.
yeah, I mean, it
And
looks
they
like it's gonna pay off.
and they filmed this back to back with part two, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
That's
So
good.
that's
So
why
then,
it seems like they've been doing this forever. I was like, I feel like they've been shooting this
right.
movie for a long time. But yeah, it'll come out the following year. But we're getting this 2 days earlier than they originally said. It's coming out on July 12th. It was originally July 14th. So looking forward to
Interesting.
that.
This is the trailer that I was alluding to earlier that I thought was too revealing. I do think that they
It's
showed us
long.
some
It is long.
lines.
It's long. Yeah, they show you.
Yes.
They show you a lot of action set pieces. I mean, cool looking ones, but like
I
All
think they show you like the last, like the climactic
the
battle.
train thing. It seems like it might be like
Way too much of the train.
yeah.
Way too much. And there's a one-on-one knife fight on top of it that I can't help but feel is going to be that final showdown between whoever that villain looks like it's going to be. I'm like, don't even show us where that goes. Like let that happen. But regardless, it's a fantastic looking trailer. It's just I think they could have cut 20 seconds out of it and we agree. Right, maybe even 15. But yeah, July 12th, like you said, Dead Reckoning Part 1. Looking forward to that. I have a lot of Mission Impossible to catch up on before July 12th.
Yeah,
probably watch from Ghost Protocol onward.
So you're gonna not do 1, 2, 3. I guess they feel like they're completely separate from like.
Really, I'd probably watch maybe from 3 because I like 3 more than 1 and 2. I think that's where the series kind of starts picking up steam.
Yeah.
But I just know myself, and I doubt I'd really make the time to watch all 6.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll see. But I still have, like I said, I've been saying I'm gonna get a lot of watches in here soon. I wanted to get some more Fast and Furious in. I'd like to get maybe a couple DC movies in anticipation of the Flash as well. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. July is a couple months away. Well, a month and a half now.
Yep.
But yeah,
can't wait.
But definitely gotta watch number 6 again before that. But I'm very excited for this movie. And you're right; it has felt like a long time coming.
Long shoot.
Yeah. You said that you had some surprise news for me. Something we had discussed beforehand. I'm itching to see what that is because I got something for you too.
Well, it was just today.
Okay.
And it has to do with, I guess, the Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. Vin Diesel confirmed over the weekend. They announced it today, though. Not announced it, but a Variety, because it was at an event that they were.
Of course, it's Variety. Yeah.
Vin Diesel confirms various Fast and Furious spinoffs are in the works, including that long delayed female-led spinoff as well. When he was at this event that Charlize Theron was actually throwing as far as for Africa Outreach. It's an Africa Outreach project.
And this is where he announces this stuff?
Is where he's getting interviewed. I guess they announced it there. He's getting interviewed there. Okay. Yeah. That would be really funny that he announced it. Yeah. Like, oh, okay.
Okay, Vin.
Vin Diesel says, I started developing the female spinoff in 2017 with other spinoffs. And the sooner I deliver the finale, the sooner I can launch all of the spinoffs. So that is the plan, even though he says that the finale might end up being 3 parts now. And then when he was speaking about the 2-part ending, he said, it's bittersweet to think of a finale. And he said, look how many characters and great talent there is in the movie. And then that's why he wants to do like possibly a 3-part finale, because he says there's no way I could pull that off unless I had everyone on for 5 seconds. These characters are appealing and we need to see more of them. So he wants to be able to get everyone have their due across this grand finale in Fast 10. And then Michelle Rodriguez was asked if she would do any of the spinoffs. And she said, you know what? You pass the baton on, you take the back seat, you go passenger side. When it comes to the next generation, you have to. It's the only way to let them define the future. So she seems like she's cool with like, letting it go once it's time to like let it go.
Well, good. She seems like the only one.
I know. So my deal with the spinoffs, the only one I can kind of get behind is the female-led one. Because I think what the franchise does have a good set of female characters, and I think you can actually add some more to that, new ones that would actually make for a pretty fun movie. That's like, I don't need to see Ludacris and Tyrese in one. I don't need to see who else? We already got Hobbs and Shaw. I know they announced a sequel to that, but I think that might be not dead, but like kind of on hold at this moment. I'm trying to think of who else am I missing.
Ramsey and somebody.
I guess would she be a part of the girl?
Oh, right, yeah.
Movie, I guess. Yeah, I can't think of like I get it. Universal, it's hard to let it go because it's such a huge money maker.
Yeah,
it's lucrative. But I know you don't want spinoffs, so I can just tell by your face that you're like, no.
Yeah, we got 10. We're gonna have 13 when it's all said and done. That's well enough for me. But I'm not surprised to hear that news. I'm sure I was going to call him Dom. I'm sure Vin Diesel. I'm sure Vin Diesel will stick on as an executive producer. And I'm hoping that will be enough to wet his whistle and still have Fast and Furious content out there to produce and maybe cameo in, so he doesn't feel like he has to make these movies until his death.
Yeah,
which I'm thinking he's saying that he doesn't want spinoffs until the finale is delivered. If we have 3 more movies...
So the next finale is supposed to come out... The next finale, it sounds weird to say. The second part of this comes out in 2025. That is supposed to be the last one. Like, that was like...
Until he said we're making it a trilogy.
Like a trilogy. So I don't know anymore. So either way, they're all getting up there. Especially
humor
him.
me for a sec. So if we do get the second part in 2025, I can only assume production on that must be starting soon. It's going to have to.
Yeah.
So if we do get this third part, then let's just keep with the trend here. That's going to come in 2027, if not 2026, if they do like a back-to-back sort of thing.
Yeah.
And production on a prequel or a spin-off. We're going to get these movies at least until the early 2030s. At that point, this series is going to be 30 years old.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, man. Like, there's not a way you can phrase that where I think that is worthwhile. But, yeah, exactly what you said. But,
yeah.
I don't know. Time will tell. I think it could be fun if they're done in the right dosage.
Yeah.
But I just don't have faith that he'll let them go. I feel like these are going to be big, epic tentpole movies.
Oh, by the way, SD Film Thoughts on Instagram just commented on my story about this, and I just love what he said because it's kind of funny because it's very true.
Yeah.
He's like, I still have no clue how a Point Break ripoff evolved into a global espionage spy series.
100%. Well, it doesn't make any sense when you look back at it, but just having rewatched the first one recently, it was awesome to draw these parallels to Point Break and how grounded and small really the first movie is. It's just wacky to think about how it got to where it got. And I'd like to go through them again and see where that moment is that it completely went off the rails and went into something so much bigger and bolder.
Yeah.
But,
crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, what you got for me?
What I want to throw at you, and I'm sure, no doubt you've heard this, I just don't think we talked about it yet, but did you see that Barry Keoghan has left the production of Gladiator 2?
Yeah, I did.
What do you think about that? I'm super bummed about that.
I'm bummed about it. Guess due to scheduling conflicts.
With what? Do we know? I have a theory.
I haven't heard anything. I guess he's being replaced by White Lotus star Fred.
Which I'm not nearly as excited about.
Here he's good. I was really excited about the other guy.
I have a theory, and it's not my own theory, but people have been floating this around, and I kind of just latched onto it. But I am hoping at least that maybe he has a sizable part in Matt Reeves' Batman 2, and maybe he has to make some room for that as the Joker.
That'd be a good scheduling conflict, I guess.
I would be okay with that, although I am going to be bummed not to see him in Gladiator 2. He was such a great casting choice for that movie. But yes, so no longer will we have Barry Keoghan on Gladiator 2.
Yeah, I agree with you. Watch it one bat on Instagram who said, "What's more important than Gladiator 2 when it comes to scheduling conflict?"
Right?
Yeah, I mean that's the classic. That happens sometimes with actors, though. They sign on for something, and for whatever reason, I think in this case it could be there's writer strikes, there's all this other shit going on.
Yes,
film delays all the time happen, and you sign on for something, and then you have this other project that could have maybe worked out doing both of them, and then things get pushed back, and then now you suddenly were obligated to another project first, and now you can't do both. So, I mean, it happens. It's unfortunate because I think he's a really good actor, and it would have been great to see him alongside people like Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, forgot to announce that too, Joseph Quinn, Connie Nielsen, a lot of people in it. I think the cast is making me excited for it because I was on the fence a little bit, and then the more people they announce, I'm like, all right,
I get why. Yeah,
I'm down for it. But yeah, I was bummed to hear they left too because I was actually pretty excited when they cast him. I think he's a really good actor.
And he was one of the first people cast too, which was great.
Yeah.
But oh well. I'm hoping that I can only guess that this movie that he has to drop out for is going to be a big one, probably demanding. So it's hoping that pays off. I think he also I read that Merck responded to somebody that commented on his post, in which he said that he's also developing, I think, directing and writing and starring, or two of those three things.
Oh, so he's
a passion project of his. Yeah. So. That's going to be keeping it busy too.
We won't take it too much. I mean, we won't.
Yeah, exactly.
Give it too hard of a time.
Disappointing to say the least, though.
Yeah, it would have been great to see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one to throw me. That's actually one I was going to give to you to add, and I forgot to add it. So I'm glad that you.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I'm glad you.
I figured that you'd seen it definitely, but I'm glad that we hadn't chatted about it beforehand.
Do you want the Haunted Mansion trailer? How do you feel about the Haunted Mansion? We don't have to
Oh shit! You know what?
You want to spend time on it?
I forgot all about it.
Well, that's a good sign. So,
yeah, I remember you mentioning it, and I thought I had everything down, but I did. Slipped down the radar. I mean, I don't know what I even feel about. Well, actually, I do. I don't know. Hard to say because I haven't seen the trailer, but if I could just vote yes to strike this movie from history, I probably just would because I just don't know why this has to be made. But I haven't seen the original in forever. But growing up as a kid, it was one that I went back to many, many times. I have very fond memories of the original.
Yeah,
with Eddie Murphy, but
Good segue.
I mean, I can't say again. Like Disney can't surprise me anymore with the stuff that they will just like redo or revisit,
Yeah,
and
they have no shame.
they don't.
No shame.
And I'd say very rarely does it work in their favor. So I can't say I have like high hopes for this. But what? I'm assuming you watched the trailer. Did you have
I
anything that
watched
you
it.
wanted?
I mean, it looks all right. I mean, I can't tell. My problem is it doesn't feel necessary, so it's hard for me to get into it. I do like the cast though. I think
Who's in
like
it?
it has Rosario Dawson, Dan DeVito,
Oh,
Lakeith
okay.
Stanfield, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay.
There's a few more names in it. It looks. I mean, it looks kind of fun. I just like. I think there might be certain things that just aren't in my wheelhouse anymore.
Right.
And this could be one of them.
I feel that
but
sort
yeah,
of way.
not that excited for it. But I did want to mention it just in case. It's there, guys. If you guys want to go see it.
Yeah.
And then
Here you
just to
go,
kind of
kids.
rapid fire two last little things before I get to box office, since you did bring up Eddie Murphy in the Haunted Mansion. I don't know how I feel about this per se, but Eddie Murphy is in talks for a Pink Panther movie from MGM. No word on who is writing the project or who might be attached to direct, but Murphy is expected to take on the role of Inspector Jacques Cousteau. The role was originated in the 60s by three-time Academy Award nominee Peter Sellers and later played by Emmy winner Steve Martin starting in the early 2000s. According to Deadline, Murphy is a longtime admirer of Sellers, and the role is said to be a perfect fit. I love Eddie Murphy, but sometimes he makes questionable decisions, and I feel like this is
100%. Yeah, you know what? It's odd. Like, I don't feel like his casting as that is like that bad, but I'm just I'm looking at it like, is this what we need? Is this what audiences are clamoring for right now? I didn't realize that Peter Sellers was the original detective, and he is awesome actor. He's worked in a lot of Stanley Kubrick movies that I've seen him in, and he was fantastic. Very much a chameleon. Didn't know that he was that. So that's interesting. Those are big shoes to fill. Peter Sellers was a great, but the fact that Eddie Murphy's like a longtime fan of his, I am hopeful about. But I don't really feel one way or the other about this. Doesn't really pique my interest. I'm kind of wondering what direction this will go in. Maybe when we find out more.
Yeah.
Who's like behind
I
it
think
and all that stuff.
That would kind of be my thing too. In case you're wondering maybe why we were getting this, thus far, the Pink Panther franchise as a whole, beginning in the 60s, has 11 films along with numerous series and specials.
Damn.
Steve Martin's 2006 take was a hit. It grossed 164 million globally on an $80 million budget. The 2009 follow-up wasn't as successful, grossing 76 million globally on a $70 million budget. That 2006 movie had a Beyonce assist. She was in it for no reason whatsoever other than to probably get an urban audience to go see it. And that might have worked this opening weekend. I remember, it's funny. There's parts of it that are funny, but I don't think it's the Peter Sellers stuff is classic. And
right.
And I just don't, like I said, I love Eddie Murphy. Just sometimes questionable decisions. And
he's kind of on the comeback kind of train right now. Yeah, so maybe we'll see how this goes. But he's definitely made some questionable decisions in the past. So
yeah,
time will tell, I guess, really where this one stands. But
yeah, agreed.
Definitely want to keep an eye on. But interesting.
And the last rapid fire one I want to give, only because I just saw it on G Reels and I forgot to mention it. The TV news, because I used to watch both of these shows, is that Showtime is in development on sequel series to Nurse Jackie and Weeds. Both shows were insanely popular on Showtime. They are looking, not only are they interested in bringing them back, but they want to bring them back with the original leads. In the case of Nurse Jackie, that'd be Edie Falco, who we also know from The Sopranos. And then Mary Louise Parker was the lead on Weeds. They are attached to their respective roles, but it's still in early development and deals are still being negotiated. If you guys don't know, the original Weeds starred Parker as a widowed mother of two boys who starts selling marijuana to support her family after her husband's death. It is a really funny show. The show is really funny when they keep it in the suburban neighborhood of Agrestic, which is where it takes place. It gets completely outlandish once they start involving cartel and it gets out of the city or out of the neighborhood they live in. It becomes too outrageous and too big for its own good. It's one of those shows that many people will say went on way too long. I think it was on 7 seasons.
Oh.
Yeah, it was on from actually 2005 to 2012. And then Nurse Jackie was on from 2009 to 2015, and it starred Falco in the title role as a pill-popping ER nurse and mom. Also very funny show. She actually won Emmy Awards for that show as well.
Right.
They're both pretty popular. I just don't know if they both kind of ran their course when they were on. But, in this day and age, it's all about the legacy sequel and sequel series.
I know.
I mean, and Showtime is said to be wanting to do this a lot because they're doing this with Dexter. They're doing this with
That's
like,
right. And I liked that sequel series for Dexter.
Yeah.
I think but in the case of Dexter, I think it really righted some wrongs that series ended on when it did,
Yeah.
when it did finally wrap up back in the day. So I was happy to see that it kind of like breathed new life into that series. I can't speak for Nurse Jackie or Weeds and how they ended, and if that feels like this is necessary, but in the case of Dexter, it felt necessary. So it's hard to say that I can't support these when I'm on board with another show that network did a legacy sequel to.
Yeah.
But I forgot, hearing you say her name, I can totally picture the woman that plays Nurse Jackie in The Sopranos. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yes, I see that now, and I never realized that was who that was.
Yeah. So, I'm optimistic.
But interesting.
Weeds did go on way too long. I loved Weeds when it started. Like, it's like
I watched the premiere back in the day, but nothing beyond.
Yeah, such a fun, dark comedy just about like this woman who gets in way over her head, and it makes sense of like making fun of the whole like suburban setting and like selling marijuana within that setting and like trying to hide it from like your kind of like soccer mom friends and like all that stuff. It was really fun. But once they like literally burned down aggressive, they literally burned it down, and they had to like get out of there, and then like it gets deeper with like different cartels, and like it just becomes like a bigger show. Like I was like, this doesn't not as fun, and now it's outlandish. Now this is outlandish, but before that it was pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure if like all the cast is coming back, but if you get the main character, then I could probably be down and see where it goes. So that brings us to box office, guys.
That's right.
Let you know right now, I was way off.
How do we do? Yeah, I have a feeling I was too, but I haven't seen these numbers yet.
All right, and we can talk about whether or not this was a disappointment or just kind of right.
Oh, okay. Well, so I feel like Ty was probably closest of all of us, and wasn't he?
Well, like we said, I mean, this is a global franchise, right? I mean, it's not all about the domestic numbers. So it opened to, I said 110. I'm already gonna let you know that I was way off.
Right.
It opened to $67.5 million domestically this weekend.
Whoa.
That is a little bit less than the 70 plus million that Fast 9 opened to in 2021 now? 2021. And that was dealing with like movie theaters not being fully open. It came out in like during the pandemic.
Right. And still 70 plus million. Wow.
Yeah. Now the big story here is that it opened to $320 million globally. So that's
pretty much made its budget back in the opening weekend worldwide, which is like quite
worldwide.
Good.
That is the win here, right? And I think Deadline thinks it's gonna. I think the Fast 9 made like 740 something globally. They think that this can pull out ahead of that globally.
Okay,
it might not hit it might not hit $1 billion, but it might get close, even if it's in that 900 range or maybe even a little lower than that.
Yeah.
You can look. Yeah, maybe interest in the States is waning because it's been going on for so long. But I think everyone involved has realized this has become a global franchise, and it's not just about how it does in the States. And particularly in China, it did really well. So China's a big market for Fast and the Furious. But yeah, way off. Sorry, guys. I thought there was more interest in the States.
I guess, yeah, me too.
$7.5 million opening weekend is horrible by any means, but
far below expectations, I'd imagine.
Right.
So ours in particular, you had said 110. I went a little bit under you at 105, and our boy Ty, who joined us on our episode, went 98. So he was the closest. So congratulations to him. But still, even then, 30 million off though. Still, holy smokes, that must be one of our biggest gaps yet.
Gaps ever.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yep. What can you do? I really thought there was worse there. And also in the grand scheme of things, because I remember we talked about Marvel fatigue with Guardians of the Galaxy, but in the kind of wake of Fast 10 and like competing directly with Fast 10, it still held up pretty well in second place. It made $32 million over the weekend, down only 48.4% from last weekend. So domestically, it's pulled in $266.5 million after 3 weeks of release. And then globally, it is sitting at $659.1 million, already eclipsed Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So like it's
that's a bonus. I guess.
I think at the end of the day, they're going to call this one a win, and I think it is. The Super Mario Brothers movie, still no 2 sequels in the spinoff yet, but
nothing yet. That
nothing yet.
My mind. What are they? Although I did hear that apparently the creators of the Zelda game are interested in
Oh,
developing
after seeing the success of this,
which
yeah,
like that's pretty cool because I don't think we've seen really much worthwhile with that
yeah,
franchise. So that would be cool.
I agree. Well, it made $9.8 million, down 22%. It's still in third place. It's made $549.2 million domestically and $1.2 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
Also, about Fast 10, $320 million worldwide opening is the second biggest global opening of the year, behind only Super Mario Brothers' $377 million global opening when it opened. So, I mean, good news, I think, at the end for that film. And a little bonus box office news for John Wick as a franchise as a whole. The franchise as a whole has crossed the $1 billion mark globally.
That is a milestone to be proud of.
Very good milestone. Actually, the grand total, actually, a little over $1 billion of those foreign films. Chapter 4 is the highest grossing with $425.3 million worldwide and counting. Next up is 2019's John Wick Chapter 3 with $326.7 million. 2017's Chapter 2 at $171.5 million. And the 2014 original film at $87.8 million worldwide. That's crazy that it made so little, but it was,
Wow.
big. And John Wick Chapter 4 still has more money to make, as it still has an opening release in Japan left on the docket.
It hasn't opened in Japan yet?
Not yet, no.
That's funny considering how much of it takes place there.
I know, it is crazy.
That's strange. Okay, well, that's good.
But congrats to the crew over the John Wick franchise.
They should be patting themselves on the backs.
I'm going to leave this open to my boy Jackson here. The movie opening this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, is The Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay.
It's a big one. I don't know how you feel about predicting it.
I don't know what to base it off of. Did you look at any other Disney live action remakes and how they have done?
I got some stuff. So, how far back do you want me to go? Like Aladdin, or do you want me to go Cinderella? Or it's more like the big, or do you want me to go like the big four? Or
let's do those.
All right, so Aladdin, as one actually to compare it to, the live action Aladdin 2019.
Directed by Guy Ritchie, no less.
No less, yes. Opened to $91.5 million its opening weekend over the same holiday weekend too, Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, interesting.
It ended up making $355.5 million domestic and $1 billion worldwide. I had no idea that movie made so much money.
That was what? Aladdin's $1 billion club? That's crazy.
Yeah, all right. And then we'll look at Beauty and the Beast live action, because I think that might be another good comparison.
I think so too.
Let's see what we have here. Where is the opening weekend at? Sorry. Oh, come on. It's somewhere. So I got
was one of the earlier ones.
Too. Yeah, it was one of the early ones. And I'm also looking at my phone.
Great cast.
Here we go. $174.7 million on its opening weekend.
What?
It came out on March 17th. This was even like a summer movie.
No.
March 17th, 2017. Ended up making $504 million domestic, $1.2 billion worldwide. Now, I guess another good one would be The Lion King.
Definitely. I can imagine that one doing quite well too. Jon Favreau behind it. Very animated version. 2019.
Oh, this came out. It came out the same year as well. Jesus, a big year for that.
Yeah.
All right, let me pull up the domestic. $191.7 million opening weekend, and it opened in July. By the time that it finished its run, $543.6 million domestic, $1.6 billion worldwide.
I had no idea that there was $1 billion Disney live action remakes, which is crazy.
And I think they are by default, just because it's just comfort food. Again,
there's still quite the appeal for them, even though they seem to definitely get mid reception, depending on who you ask. But no doubt they're making money in the box office. So that
true.
You know what? It's hard really to stack up this one against those, because this is definitely one of their big 4 or 5 classic properties.
Yeah, so from the animated world, I think the golden age of their animated films began with The Little Mermaid. It was Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King. I think that's for the 4. So it is part of that club.
Definitely. That being said,
this one is a hard one though.
I'm gonna go on the lower side. I'm gonna go with 100. I'm gonna go even on the 100 million.
All right.
for The Little Mermaid. I don't know that is much of an educated guess. I have really no idea where. I won't really be surprised either way how this falls, but let's
Let's see
let's
how it
go with
goes.
100 million. See how that does.
All right, I'm gonna go 105. Go a little bit above you.
Okay, nice. That's what I had picked for last week's.
So
Fast X.
if it goes higher, I won't be surprised. It is a family film, and like I guess it all depends on word of mouth.
Yeah, that'll be a big factor too.
I'm on the
It's
fence
gonna be
about whether I want to see it this weekend, like because just a bunch of kids. I don't know.
Yeah, true that. It's also going to be competing against Fast 10,
Second
which
weekend,
might
yeah,
have, so we'll see how it does on its second weekend if it holds up.
yeah,
That would be something I wouldn't want to be battling with in the box office, but it is a
right,
Disney movie. Disney also needs all the wins they can get right now.
yeah.
So they have a lot riding on it, but I don't know, things haven't really been going their way in a lot of different avenues of their entertainment industry. So we will see how that one does. If we keep it a close eye this time next week, it'd be interesting to see how it's done.
Yeah. You were wondering why these are all like kind of in the $1 billion club. I think just because like they're so familiar to so many people, because
Huge
like
international appeal too.
yeah, and like I don't know, I just kind of like it's easy for it to make money because they're so familiar to so many audiences. I think that's where, I think that's why that happens.
Yeah.
And before we sign off and go, it's not a big story, but we know like I just want to let people know because we talked about the writer's strike and like that's still going on as of recording today. Well, tomorrow we're on a Monday. Tuesday will be officially 4 weeks. Pins down everywhere.
Wow.
If you're part of the WGA, but also looming in the background is a potential Screen Actors Guild strike. They did authorize a vote to potentially strike, and they're voting on whether to authorize a strike when their June 30th contract expires amid the ongoing writer's strike. They are beginning negotiations with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers that are also going into contract talks with like the WGA. And this it could be a potentially big deal. And the reason that they're voting to possibly strike because it is a bargaining tool, because they want to not strike, but what they want to kind of like I guess push them to be like, hey, if we don't kind of get what we want, this is what we'll do. I hope it doesn't happen.
Very much hope it does not happen. I hope they get a good deal that satisfies all their wants.
Yeah.
I definitely a little worried about this writer's strike and how long it's been going on. I really hope it's wrapped up soon, but I don't know. From what you gather, are they anywhere close to a deal? When are they meeting again?
It doesn't feel like it. I think they're meeting again after the holiday, which is for us to be the Memorial Day weekend. It's disappointing. I mean, to have like all these, major unions kind of doing this right now, like the WGA and then SAG and then possibly even the TGA with when their stuff expires. It's one person said that maybe if all these entities strike at once, it might push them to make a deal quicker with all of them.
That's a good point.
I don't really necessarily.
I don't want to find out though.
I don't either.
Especially if they're wrong.
It says that the prospect of actors walking out could hold major sway when it comes to a potential strike. Stephen Ross, a professor of history at the University of Southern California and author of Working Class Hollywood, told the Daily Beast, the studios can make any movie that they have a script for. That will not change. But if those actors say, no, we're not going to show up, then everything shuts down. The question is, will the actors go out on strike? If they do, I think it's going to change the complexity of the actual strife between both parties. So I think I think actually is very interesting, and I think it's pretty true. A lot of money is being lost. I mean, every day every day here in California, where a lot of stuff is shot, money is being lost by having nothing in production right now.
And I'm sure they don't want to let that go on longer than
it's something that could hit the billions. So it's crazy. So just wanted to give a quick update on that, and hopefully it gets resolved soon and worked out very soon. Yes. I do not want another 100 days. This. So yeah.
Oh God.
Definitely stand with writers though and what they're asking for.
Absolutely.
So hopefully this all gets worked out pretty soon.
Yeah. So hopefully this time next week we'll have some better news. Maybe. Yeah. Probably a steep ask that it's all wrapped up by then, but time will tell. Hopefully things get a speedy resolution here. But in the meantime, we'll be bringing you guys updates as things go on. Hopefully nobody else is following suit, but again, it's nice to support them.
Yep.
But yeah, well, I think we've made it to the end. We got a lot of news out of there, a lot of good trailers, a lot of good content. It was amidst the strike. There's been lots of lots of exciting material being published for
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer. The longer the strike goes on, but we'll take it while we got it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, guys,
Definitely.
thank you for listening. This has been episode 97 of Back to the Blockbuster, and we've got 98 coming at you here shortly, and we are ever approaching our 100 episode milestone. So, as Gaius mentioned earlier in the episode, stay tuned to our socials where we will be teasing and showing you a little glimpse of what we got to give away. And you guys already know, if you haven't already entered, if you share our giveaway posts and tag some friends in the comments, you will be entered to win our movie set of Fast and the Furious. And stay tuned as we will have another one to give away for you guys as well. As you guys know, well by now, for those who have been listening to us, but if you're new here, you guys can find us and tell your friends that they can find us anywhere you guys get your podcasts, whether that be on Apple, Spotify, Google, Good Pods, and you can always find us over at Playlist as well. So thanks a lot, guys, for listening. It's been a great week talking movies with you, Gaius. Looking forward to chatting for our anniversary episode here tomorrow. Yep. And I will see you when I see you next. Thanks for listening, guys.
Peace.
Peace out.